What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? I'm sorry. We're running on CP time today, so y'all got to forgive us. But had some slight technical difficulties, but we had to get this thing right for you guys. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We have a special treat for you tonight. We have one of the greatest centers that ever played in the game of football on our show tonight. So please, please, please sit back, relax, enjoy, and take your time. We're going to go ahead and take care of you guys tonight. Like and subscribe. Let's go.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all got to forgive me. I'm sorry. We had some slight technical difficulties, but guess what? We still marched through it like it was nothing. But we do have a guest that understands what being in the trenches is like because we're in the trenches every Thursday with you guys, and we definitely know what it's like to fight. So tonight is a night that we're going to show love to the big boys down in the pit. We got one of the greatest centers of all time in the birdcage. We talking about Mr. Dwight Stephenson. 2 national championships with the University of Alabama. I'm a Bulldog fan, but we still got to show some love because he's giving us some time tonight. And also 2 Super Bowl appearances with the Miami Dolphins in the 80s. One in 82 with Don Strock, and then the other in 84 with the legendary kid himself, Mr. Dan Marino. Dan Marino shattered a lot of us Bulldog, fans' hearts back in the day. My godfather, Clarence K, was one of them, unfortunately, losing a national championship to him. But, it's all good, man. It's all love around here. But while we're spreading the love, we're going to go ahead and start bringing in the crew before we bring in Mr. Stephenson. We got K-Dub, and we got our guy, Coach Cam. What's going on, fellas?
What it is, what it do, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Nah, man, I'm enjoying this right here.
I was speaking to Cam, but yeah. But I'll go ahead and get my soliloquy out there. You know what I'm saying? Good to see everybody in the building, all the listeners, subscribers tonight. If you haven't been told, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend what time it is the birdcage is in. Got a great interview in store for everyone tonight. Tune in, man, and buckle your seatbelts. It's gonna be a great ride.
Now, Coach Cam, you're a coach, and you talk about the trenches all the time. We got somebody in here that is a master of the trenches, and he was groomed in it back in his playing days, man. So what kind of a treat is this going to be for you being a high school coach, and you can teach some of your kids some of these lessons he's getting ready to drop tonight?
Honestly, just to be in the presence of greatness, it's a humbling feeling. For this young man to be in the Hall of Fame, a 2-time champion, someone that's given to his community for such a long period of time. Also won the Walter Payton Award, so Just to be in this kind of presence as, you know, one, as a black man, and then two, also as a coach, someone that, you know, I battle people like him being a defensive end. So so I get to, you know, bask in his greatness and, you know, probably learn a thing or two that I can, you know, bestow upon my kids when we get back out there.
Oh man. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the guest of honor into the building himself. We have Mr. Dwight Stephenson, NFL and college football Hall of Famer. Welcome to the cage, Mr. Stephenson. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very happy to be here, and happy you guys invited me into the bird cage. I'm excited about being here, and
you in here now?
forward to spending some time with you.
Well, normally this part is called on the perch or whatnot. We can't let you all the way in the cage because you're not a bird, but you are on the perch because you are greatness. You got a gold jacket, and let's just look at it like this, man. On the perch is darn near right at the doorstep. So you getting some Southern hospitality, some sweet tea, peach cobbler, collard greens, anything you want.
That all sounds good to me, and that's my kind of eating and my kind of hospitality that I really appreciate. So I'm looking forward to, like I said, spending some time with you this evening here. So I'm just very excited to be here.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and start. You know, one of the gentlemen, I got to shout him out or whatnot because he'll cuss me out if I don't. So shout out to Coach we got to shout out Dr. Willard Bailey for assisting us with being able to bridge this to happen. Legendary HBCU head coach. We got him coming on the show later on this off season. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And also legendary HBCU track coach and BirdCage alum, Coach George Williams, also sends his blessings and says, you need to go ahead and hurry up and get up there so you guys can hang out and he can take a little bit more of your money on the golf course.
I appreciate it. I know he is a heck of a golfer and stuff. And but before I talk about him, I literally want to talk about Coach Bailey. I mean, he's a legend. He's a guy that you know, in football we all respect and love, and I know he's retired now, but he did a wonderful job. He touched a lot of guys, and one of the things about football coaches and stuff that a lot of people don't, you know, give them credit is, you know, that they have developed good people, and he was known for having good people and they helped develop good people. So not only was he a great coach, he was a great influence on guys and stuff. And I'm glad to see that he's doing well. I talked to him not long ago. He's a great coach, and we do miss him out there on the sideline, but you know, he's still doing good work out here and stuff. I know he's still trying to do some things as far as helping out other HBCUs and stuff. So just keep up the good work, Coach. We appreciate you.
Well, you know, he's responsible for developing a young Russell Wilson as a child, because Russell used to run the sidelines at Norfolk State with him when Russell's grandfather was the president at Norfolk State. So he tell Russell, hey, he said, young man, you can think you can lead us out? He said, yeah, you give me a snap or two, I'll win it for you. Now he's 5 and 6 saying that. Yeah. So he confirmed that, but we're going to have Dr. Bailey to tell that story. But speaking of stories, you're a native of the Virginia area, born in North Carolina. You literally grew up in a hub area of great football greatness, whether it's North Carolina or even the Virginia area. What were your humble beginnings like, and what got you into football, and what led you to go to the University of Alabama opposed to going to one of those HBCUs with Dr. Bailey or Coach Bill Hayes that's in that North Carolina area you know well too, who's another BirdCage alum? What made you get into the game and get down to Tuscaloosa out of all places?
You know, football, sports, I mean, I always loved sports coming up and stuff, and basketball was my first love. It's something that I really wanted to play, and I really worked at it and stuff. But I was rather limited there. So and football came available to me, and you know, I got involved with that when I was in 11th grade. So I got involved kind of late, but it was something that I went out there and I felt good about it. And I played on a great team. Again, I had a great coach in Mike Smith and his assistant coaches, and then I also had some great teammates there and stuff. And I had a good time there, learning the game and playing with those guys and stuff. And and as a matter of fact, one of my great my high school teammates is in town this weekend, Woodrow Wilson. He was All-American and all everything, and probably the most well-known Hampton High crabber from that area there. And now he's the head coach at Hampton High, but he's in town and we're visiting us, and I appreciate that. But I've been around good people most of my life and stuff, and then when I played with guys there, and when I was able to leave there and go to the University of Alabama again, I played for a legendary coach there in Paul Bear Bryant, and but again, he just like Coach Bailey, he helped develop. I feel good people and stuff, guys that needed some guidance, guys that needed to have some tough love, that needed to have something hard to do, that they had to stick to it and could not quit, and he pushed you to the brink and that sort of thing, and but he never let you. He didn't push you to the point I felt that where we quit, and we had some guys that couldn't handle it, and they did leave or whatever and stuff. But if you stuck it out and stuff, it was a good life lesson, just sticking something out. And so I played at the University of Alabama, played with some great guys and great coaches there. And then I came down to the Dolphins, a similar thing again, playing for Coach Schuler, just an outstanding coach. Again, played with some great teammates and stuff. And we won a lot of football games. We played in 2 Super Bowls. We didn't win it, doggone it, but we did play in 2 Super Bowls, and I thought I'd get another chance, but all of a sudden my career came to an end and stuff. But that's where the things that I learned from my mother and father and them, and as well as mother coaches and stuff. You got to keep on in life. Just because you have an injury, life's not over with football. Yeah, I knew I had to do something once football was over with anyway. It just came a lot sooner than I thought it would, and. I've just had good people around me all my life and stuff.
So before I let my guys take over and jump on some questions, I got another one for you because see, I'm gonna piss some people off, but I don't care. I don't care. Now you got to play with a real unicorn for a tight end. You had Ozzie Newsome at Alabama, one of the greatest to ever do it. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what a unicorn is? Go back and look at Ozzie Newsome's film. That's his teammate. Kyle Pitts has yet to scratch the surface. So I stand 10 toes down on it. Stop calling that boy a unicorn. He is not in that category yet. His teammate, legend from Alabama, all the way through his career. And as I said before, we want him to touch the greatness. But what was it like seeing Ozzie Newsome day in and day out, knowing that you guys were a run-heavy team? You had Tony Nathan in the back, touchdown Tony Nathan in the back, in the backfield, and you had old Sylvester Croom, one of the first black center at Alabama, to be a position coach at that time. Absolutely. What was that like going through that transition, being up under Paul Bear Bryant? Because everybody talks, Ozzie Newsome says everybody says he got treated like, everybody said they got treated like dirt. So what was that like, that experience playing for him?
It was. I think one guy explains it best, and that's John Hanna, and he's an offensive lineman. He played in great John Hanna, played for the New England Patriots. And I forgot where we were, but he got up there to the mic, and we all had our chance at the mic, and he was talking about playing at the University of Alabama and playing for Coach Paul Bear Bryant. And he said it the best. He said he wouldn't trade the experience for $1 million, but he said he wouldn't do it again for $1 million. And I'm telling you, one thing he did, it was not easy. And like I said, he treated us all. He treated on the field and that sort of thing. It was strictly about trying to help us to be the best football players we could be, and teaching us about life and that sort of thing. And then you think that he was tough on us, and then you might see him later on at dinner, like in the dining hall, and then he got to ask you, how's your mother doing? Is your mother still working at school and at the school? And like most people know, he wanted to let you know that he knew about you, that he did know about you and that sort of thing. Those little things like that. And I can remember one time I went out. I was on the field, and I thought I was doing pretty good. It was my my freshman year. I had just come back, and we were in spring ball. And spring ball back then, you used to have 20 days. And it's 20 days of we're going to get after it. Okay, it's 20 days of just work. And everybody practices in kitchen sink. Everybody's going to practice, whether you heard or not, just about. You're going to practice and you're going to go out there and get after it. And so I thought I was doing pretty good. And I came in and I looked at the board, and you had to come in and look at it every day. And they had put me down on the second team. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm not going to grab an attitude or anything like that. But I was going out on the field, and my position coach, he kind of ran up beside me and that sort of thing. And, you know, it was just teaching me about life then. He said, Dwight, he said, Coach Bryant just want to see what you're going to do. And that right there let me know. I mean, and I did. I mean, I worked as hard as I ever worked before and stuff. I didn't let get upset and, you know, take a cop of attitude or anything. It was like, hey, you know, my practices and that sort of thing, I worked even harder just to prove that I should be the starting center there at the University of Alabama and stuff. And so those kind of things, lessons and stuff that I learned there, I mean, I still carry with me in life today and what I'm doing today and stuff. I don't let people cause me to lose or to, make bad decisions or whatever and stuff. And Coach Bryant could have lost every game there at the University of Alabama, and they still would have, they loved the guy down there and stuff. So he didn't have to worry about winning every football game. But I didn't. I mean, I got after it, and I was able to, the next day, they put me back up on the Reds, which was the number one offensive team and stuff. And the rest was history. I never ever was, demoted or someone else was above me there at the University of Alabama. And, but those kind of things happened there. And I kind of, in the long story that I told there, I think I kind of forgot what the questions were.
No, you covered everything. The only thing that you didn't cover was, did you wear the dreaded brown jersey that everybody talked about?
The dreaded brown jersey at the University of Alabama? It pretty much, I mean, offensive lineman, it was kind of like a yellow jersey, and that was the one when you were injured or you weren't going to practice or whatever and stuff. But and they did. I mean, they had a jersey that was third team. I mean, right? Of course, you didn't want that. But Reds, our red jersey was the number one offense always, and the white jersey was the number one defense. And then you had the greens, which he called the Jets or whatever and stuff, for second team on defense and offense. And but we had he had those little things in place and stuff, and all. You know, we learned, and I can remember at the end of practices and stuff, I mean, it'd be, let's say 110 players, 120 players, and maybe 20 coaches or whatever and stuff, and all kinds of stuff. And Coach Bryant he'd blow the whistle, and everybody knew then that because we were ready for practice, the end, and he'd bring everybody up, and he'd talk no louder than this right here. And believe me, you heard, or you knew every word that he said and that sort of thing. And I think that he purposely did that. So you have to make sure that you got it. He didn't want to try to yell over everybody. He just, those little things that he did there and stuff. And I enjoyed playing there at the University of Alabama. I really did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Dub, it's on you.
Okay, well, Mr. Stephenson, glad to have you in the cage. I'll say that once again. But I got a couple of questions here for our listeners and subscribers and followers out there. So when you was at Alabama and Bear Bryant, what was his meaning, and why did he call you a man among children? And also, what was the thought when Mark Denard got hurt and then you knew it was time for you to come in? What was your thought process?
Those are very good questions there. I mean, very good things to talk about there and stuff. And when Coach Bryant said, I was a man amongst boys or whatever and stuff, it was quite a compliment. And I'm gonna tell you, the things that happened there to me at the University of Alabama, I mean, I couldn't imagine them. But you spoke about Ozzie Newsome and these guys like Terry Jones and he was a starting center when I first came there and stuff. And he's also African American. He's black. And but I got to watch these guys, right? And I'm like, what makes these guys right here special? What makes them all American? What makes them all conference and that sort of thing? And I kind of I started watching these guys. I'm like, okay. And I saw something I felt I might not do a whole lot of talking, but I do watch and I observe. and I do that, and I do it very well, I feel. And so I watched them, and I was looking to see what did they do that was different than everybody else. And one of the things that they did was that they worked harder than everybody else. They had talent, but they also worked harder than the next guy over there. They were not trying to get out of practice. They weren't trying to miss the repetitions and stuff like that, to get out there. They had a chance to get out there and get better. They worked at it. I see Ozzie Newsome run all the way out of bounds. The ball is obviously out of bounds, like 10 yards, but he would go out there and catch that ball and put it away, working on his ball, the catches and that sort of thing. I mean, Terry Jones, literally, coming off the football and stuff, not stopping right there at the line of scrimmage. But once the ball goes downfield, he's downfield trying to get an extra block. And so I saw those guys, and I said, well, you know what? I can do those kind of things, and I can work as hard as anybody else out here, and I can get downfield, and I don't quit on a play. And so instead of just making a block there at the line of scrimmage, I'm going to the next level, trying to get down there where the Mike or the defensive back, in case the running back pops loose or whatever and stuff. So I learned from watching other guys there and stuff. So and it's kind of like really at Alabama, you kind of anticipate they are not playing to win a game, beat a certain team. I mean, really, they do. They play for the national championship, and that was what I was told. We're playing for the national championship every year, okay? Not just and so those kind of things they kind of drilled in our everyday happening and everything. But I enjoyed it.
Okay, so what about the Mark Denard situation?
Mark Denard, when I first came there, Mark is a good guy, great guy. I'm telling you now, and I was amazed at some of the things they do. Now, I learned from everybody. I saw what Mark was doing, and I'm like, man, that's a great move there. And he would get a guy, and man, he could turn a guy that was 300 pounds, literally, and he's only like 255 or something like that, and just totally destroy him. And I'm like, okay. And so I learned from him or whatever stuff. And then the next year he got hurt. He was hurt like probably halfway through the season. And then I came in and I started. And we won maybe 6 games that I played or started. And we won all. We lost 1, and then we won 5 or 6. How many games there was that we played? And then it came to the playoffs, and we were playing San Diego. We're going to play the San Diego Chargers, and that's where they had to make it. Mark was healthy now; he's back, and that's where Coach Shula and them had to make a decision. He had a rule that a person would never lose his starting position because of an injury. So that opened the door for them to put Mark back in there. I'm happy that he was healthy. I'm happy that Coach Shula had rules like that. I think that's a fair thing, but at the same time, for me personally, I didn't think it was a good thing, but the decision was made, and so I went with it. And then the next year, it was kind of like from the beginning. It was like, Dwight, you're starting, and then Mark Denard, they traded Mark, and Mark went on to play with the Philadelphia Eagles, and Mark Denard did a great job of that. He's a good guy and stuff. I see him now. He's like he's a slim 100 and probably 200 pounds and stuff. Good, but a good guy and stuff. So Mark Denard, I felt as though he was a great center, and like I said, I learned some things from him. And he's a good guy.
All right. What about the centers that are coming out this year? Who you really like? Who you think the Falcons may look at for as a center coming out this year?
The Falcons, huh?
Oh, Lord.
I hear you. There's some good guys. I don't know. I can't say that is in one particular center that I like, but I just want a center that's athletic. I don't want a guy that's just, a big guy. I like a guy that can run, he can move, he has quickness. Is a guy that, he has good strength. Good strength. But he also he's an athlete. You know, I mean, you've seen guys throughout the years, and I go back some guys that played about the time or right after I did and stuff. But there's another guy that many people don't talk about, and he deserves to be talked about. This guy's name is Ray Donaldson. He's a Georgia Bulldog.
Yep.
Okay.
Legendary Bulldog.
Yeah. And he was actually, when I think he was the first black center to play to probably start as a regular guy in the National Football League. And I don't want to slight anybody, but I think he was the first one to start. Now, he started up at the Baltimore Coast. And he started probably about 5 or 6 games before I started that year. And the hell of a center. And this guy right here should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's a good guy, very active in the community and stuff. And but I'm just talking about in his playing days, he played for like 15 years and did a great job and stuff. But I mean, he's an athlete. He was a guy that played for me. He played linebacker when he came to the Georgia when he came out of high school. So he was an athlete. He ran well and all that, and did a good job. Then it's guys like Damani Dawson that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's some guys that played out that were good athletes and stuff. And that's where I think that where I felt I was a pretty good athlete, as well as I had the strength and, you know, and desire. Yeah, I did. I wanted to be, you know, for a lot of reasons, they said that we couldn't play the center position. That was just a motivating thing to me. That I, you know, that's why I wanted to play that position even more. I wanted to be the guy in charge. I wanted to be the guy that decided how everybody was going to block, the play was going to block, and, you know, be the guy to control the huddle, you know, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I don't know why. I always liked the centers. Mick Tingerhoff was a guy that I kind of liked when I was coming up. He played for the Minnesota Vikings. And but he was a guy that I enjoyed watching play.
Now you spoke on Tingerhoff. Tingerhoff was definitely a solid player, really good. If you go back and look at the days of Joe Cap, we protected Fran Tarkenton, Georgia Bulldog legend, MVP of the league at one point. But a guy that I feel like doesn't get talked about, we're going to speak on one of our own, and then we're going to let Cam jump on these questions because it was something I was going to bring up. Jeff Van Note is a guy that does not get mentioned, and he played for over 15 years, and he was solid as a rock. And I'm going to throw this out here because Matt Millen said this about you, the legendary Matt Millen, who, you know, great linebacker, GM. I'm not going to touch that. But he said it's 2 players that have it, and it's not many guys that do what these guys do. Anthony Munoz is one. Dwight Stephenson is the other. He said they take what you do, and it could be your strongest point, and they turn it against you. Those are the only 2 players that do that. And he spoke on a guy, and I couldn't spell his name, but I knew about him. He played for the Buffalo Bills, mentored a young Bruce Smith man by the name of Fred Smerlas. You own that dude, and that guy was a monster at that defensive tackle position. And the question is, why doesn't Jeff Van Note get mentioned much in the Hall of Fame? Because I know you guys have a senior committee now where you talk about it, and he's one. Tommy Nobis is a great linebacker that doesn't ever get that's not in yet. And you have a guy that played your position and was durable at that spot and was very good at, you know, not missing games and just being one of the consistent forces, because he was a defensive tackle when he came in from Kentucky, but he was a high school quarterback. So why do you think he doesn't get much pub with the NFL Hall of Fame?
You know, I can't tell you why. I tell you what, but I mean, if you're talking about a guy that should be getting mentioned, no question. He played for 15 years. I mean, every Saturday he lined up, he played, and he did a hell of a job and stuff. And like you mentioned, he dominated. I mean, I think his nickname was the Slasher or something like that. But he did a great job. He was very consistent, and I watched him. So when I came in the league, he was still playing. And when I came, we practiced, we scrimmaged against the Falcons. We'd go up there and stay a week. Okay, the Miami Dolphins. We'd go up and we would practice from them with them and against them, and then we'd play the game on Saturday or whatever stuff, a preseason game. And we did that for like 2 or 3 years and stuff. So I got a chance to talk with Jeff Van Noy, learn from him, and I watched him. And but a good guy and stuff. And yes, he should be absolutely one of the guys when you talk about Hall of Fame. And it's just sometimes centers and offensive linemen, we don't get a lot of credit once if it don't happen right then immediately after people kind of forget about offensive linemen and stuff. And Jeff Van Noy does not need to be forgot about. He did a great job for a long time.
Without offensive linemen, and it's not just this, but I always give credit where credit is due. I was a safety back in the day. So for me, I always hung with the guys in the trenches, whether they were O linemen or defensive linemen. Without offensive linemen and I'm a student of the game. I studied all the old players, and one of my favorite players was Gene Upshaw, and he said it the best. He said, the offensive line is the heartbeat of the team. That's the honest to God truth. The defensive line is the pulse of the team. So if you want to look at it without anybody in the trenches and in that closet is what we would say, that pit, the line of scrimmage, we don't have the game of football. It's just really flag football. So without you guys, we don't have a game. So thank you for your sacrifices. Cam, it's on you, bro.
Show.
Mr. Stephenson, thank you for coming on tonight. It's a humbling experience to be able to speak with you. As a high school coach, knowing that you are a leader of men, playing the role of the center, because in my opinion, the center is the most important piece to an offense, because you have to do certain things that the quarterback does not see as he's calling out, plays and audibles, things of that nature, because you're having to switch, like who's going back there. For me, what made you want to play the center position, and then what players did you kind of emulate your game after, when you were playing, whether it was in college or in the pros?
Right. I think when I came to the Dolphins, the Crimson Tide, when I was at Alabama and stuff, I'm gonna tell you, I was very, very fortunate. I came there as a freshman. The starting center was a gentleman by the name of Terry Jones. And Big T was like an All-American high school defensive lineman. And he played, back then you played both ways. And you probably still do today in high school, played both ways. And so he came to University of Alabama. He was starting. And he had started, that was his second year starting. And I got a chance to watch him. Like, again, my freshman year, I watched him. And then he'd give me the advice on how to do this and how to do that. And that, I would at night, instead of going to the room to go to bed, I would go to my room and I work on my steps. I mean, it was kind of like footwork was very, very important. And a lot of people don't think that for offensive lineman, but the footwork is very, very important. And so I got a chance to play behind Big T. And then not only that, now as a coach, I felt a good offensive line coach by the name of Jack Rutledge. He was our position coach. But I also had Sylvester Kroon, who came back. He was a student coach. Mm-hmm. So Sylvester Kroon was the guy that he kind of took me under his wings. Big T had to worry about practices and everything, but Sylvester would talk to me, show me the things that he thought were good for me to learn and that sort of thing. And really, he pushed me. And I can remember one day out there, he kind of ran up and I wasn't not putting out the way I should have been putting out. And he kind of grabbed me, to get my attention. And but it was just it was the right thing at the right time. And I'm telling you now, so I got a chance to watch Big T, who was doing good. He was all conference and all that and everything, all Southeast Conference. And then I had Sylvester Kroon, who had made all Kodak All-American and everything. He was everything. So I had those guys to kind of teach me and work with me and stuff like that. And then the next year, Coach Brown, we go into spring football, those 20 days, which is just unbelievable, pure hell. I mean, we work. So we go those 20 days, and Coach Brian wanted that. I didn't know this. They had conversation. They wanted myself to play center, or they wanted Big T to play. They wanted one of us to play defense and one play offense. So what they did is they put me on defense first, and they put me at outside linebacker. Outside linebacker, I was quick and I was fast, but outside linebacker is like, you got to be cat-like, and, you know, I probably was better suited for an inside linebacker and stuff. So anyway, they put me over there, and things didn't go as well. It obviously didn't go as well as they wanted it to go, I didn't. And so they moved me back to center, and they put Big T over there. He was playing nose tackle, so Big T did a good job at nose tackle. So they left me at center, and I started at center my sophomore year, and so that's how I got to be at the center position. But I had a chance to learn from two of the best centers that ever played in the Southeast Conference, and that's Terry Jones, and he went on to play for the Green Bay Packers. He played for like 9 years, the Green Bay Packers. He played a defensive line, and then Sylvester Croom. I mean, you know, legendary coach. He was the first black head coach in the Southeast Conference, and just a hell of a guy and stuff. And one of the most just a fiery guy and stuff. And I enjoyed him and stuff. So, and
yes, sir. So my next question for you is, who was your toughest opponent that you had to face, whether it was college or NFL, and then who was also your favorite teammate in college or the NFL?
Okay, and my favorite, the guy that probably gave me the biggest challenge and stuff was probably I didn't play him. We didn't play him twice a year. We probably played him once or twice while I was with the Dolphins. And the guy was probably Howie Long, and Howie could do it all. I mean, he was a power rusher. He could he understood. He's a smart player. He never would line up head up on you. He always talk about half man, and then not only that, he'd have a play, and then all right, so I'm getting them figured out now and knowing what I'm gonna do. And then he'll move to another defensive line position. So I never was able to get him like two or three plays in a row, and I felt I'd stand a chance at least trying to block him. But he gave me the issue. Just a smart guy, good balance, quick, smart, and he did a good job. Joe Clacko was just a devastating defensive lineman. He was
Philly boy out of Temple.
Temple. I mean,
yep.
he was disruptive. I mean, it was like if you mess around and you're not prepared to take Joe Clacko on, I mean, he embarrassed you. I can remember one time. I'm telling you now, and I was pretty when I first came in the league. I mean, I could pop, and he was kind of like almost he was driving another guy. And when I hit guys like that, usually I put him on the ground. He's on the ground, right? And I hit him, and he kind of still got up. Before I know it, he hit me, got underneath me, and I was like, man, I was thinking to myself, throw the ball. Get the quarterback. I'm like, get rid of that. I hope we got rid of it. And I'm telling you, he didn't get there, but that never, ever do I relax against Joe Clacko. He was just devastating. Good guy, just the nicest guy you ever want to meet. And, you know, he'll have a good play against, and then he'll look at you back out the side of your eye or something like that, a snicker or something like that. Just a good guy, though. Good guy. He just went in the Hall of Fame, and just a really good guy.
Now, there's a guy that gets forgotten about. You know, he's passed on, but he was one of the best pass rushers. Now, you got to face him before he left to go to San Francisco, and you saw him again in the Super Bowl. There's a man by the name of Fred Dean that now you spoke on Howie Long and how the Raiders used him and moved him around. Fred Dean was the first one that they did that with the Chargers back in the day when he was there with Dan Fouts and those guys, and the other unicorn, Mr. Kellen Winslow Sr. So for y'all Kyle Pitts fans, please look up these two unicorn names that I've called out, because this is a man that actually got to play against them, and he also was a teammate with one of them. So again, you Kyle Pitts lovers, please go ahead and look up Kellen Winslow Sr. and look up Ozzie Newsome. Those are two of the best to ever do it, and this man knows it firsthand. But what was it like playing against Fred Dean in his prime when you had to see him when he was with the Chargers, and then you also had that explosive offense offensive duel that you would have with Don Strock and those guys back in the day, and old Nat Moore. What was that like?
I mean, that was great. You know, I tell you what we did. We had explosive offense. We could score a lot of points, and we could do it quickly. I mean, I don't think we ever felt like we were out of a game and stuff. And but in scoring points was one thing that we would do. We go out there with the attitude that we're going to have to outscore them. Our defense was giving up quite a few points amount of points. So we had to go out there and we had to score a lot of points and stuff in order to win. And but you know, guys, when we were going up against guys like Fred Dean, I mean, Fred is just is one of those guys as me, as a center and the guy that's kind of directing the offensive line. You got to always know where Fred Dean was at. I mean, if he was outside over there, then then free man, you look at your responsibility. If that don't come, you got to keep your eye on Fred Dean because he's coming and you know where he's coming. He's coming to the quarterback. So get between him and the quarterback and stuff. And but Fred was a great guy and just the nicest guy, man. He God bless his soul. We miss him. He should have been in the Hall of Fame. Just a quiet guy. He unassuming. If you saw him, he wouldn't say boo. He wouldn't. But he was on the field. He was a fierce competitor, and I enjoy watching him play and stuff. I enjoy it.
Antonio, that is not a unicorn. He is a government mule until he breaks free. But getting back to it though, like now you talked about Fred Dean and you talked about some of these defenders that you went up against. Now there's some clips that showed you manhandling the legendary Reggie White. Now that alone really, you know, it really shows how tough you were because you had Don Strock at your quarterback that you had to protect. And then you had the kid, Dan Marino, the legend that everybody talks about.
Right.
You know, I believe Dan Marino had his best years as a quarterback. No disrespect to anybody that came after you, but his best years where he lit up the league and he became the league MVP, passing champ and everything was mainly when you were there protecting him.
Yeah.
And you were one of the best at it. Like hands down, I look at your film, I looked at how you handled some of the legendary linebackers of the 80s, Lawrence Taylor. You took on Keanu Turner, Hacksaw Reynolds. I mean, so many of these guys that you took on, and even the legendary Bruce Smith. Now, I got love for Bruce Smith, but you were one of the only guys that I ever saw outside of Anthony Munoz to manhandle those guys.
Yeah.
What helped you when you talk about your center of gravity? Because like you said, you were an athletic center. You weren't as what we like to say, a dump truck center where, you know, you put your belly in the wheelbarrow and lean over. You weren't that. You were in shape. You were, you know, you were quick as a cat and you had a punch. I'll say this here. I think if I could describe you coming off the ball, it was like watching Ernie Shavers when he hit Larry Holmes and knocked him out before he bounced up and, you know, knocked him out. It was literally, you had an Ernie Shavers type punch where you hit him so hard, you know, you try to, how did Ali say it? He said, hit me so hard, he rattled my kinfolk in Africa. That's how hard you hit. And I've watched that. You're humble, but you were a monster.
Yeah. But I tell you, you talk about some of the things, you know, like some of the guys that we played against. I'm telling you, I played against some great guys. But we also, I'm telling you, the teammates that I played with, I'm telling you now, I got to watch the great Larry Little. He was a very, very, you know, I got to watch him.
That's BirdCage alumni right there too, by the way.
You got it. Yep, that's right. HBCU.
And he came on the show for us too.
Okay. Yeah. Now,
Larry
was a great guy. He was one of the guys when I got there, right? You know how the offensive linemen, they work together and kind of look out and take care of one another and stuff. So I was, you know, I'm there. I'm just getting there and that sort of thing. And Larry see what's going on, and he realized that the guys that are starting, Mark Denard and Kuchenberg and those guys, they're trying to keep me out of there, right? And but they say, okay, you alternate every other play, or you work, you know, in football for reps. So Mark go in there for 2 plays, 3 plays, then I go in there for 3 plays and work with the first team, second team, however it works out. So the first team, they're going to act like they're going to work together, and they didn't want to work with me, right? And Larry saw that, right? And I was going for it at first. I didn't pick up on it maybe at first, but I'm like, maybe it wasn't the right time to challenge it or to say something. So anyway, they said, Dwight, we want to work together on this right here. So I said, oh, okay. And I start turning around going, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, deep voice, Dwight, get your ass in there. He was like, they were trying to keep me out of there. He recognized it. And I think at some point I would have recognized, I would saw it. But he didn't say it just so I could hear it. He said it so the whole huddle and everybody heard it. Hey, Mark, get your, I got to go, man. You got to go.
But Kuchenberg was a bully from what I know, because I heard he and what's the gentleman's name? Mercury Morris, they told a story about how he busted up his radio. He called it a ghetto blaster. That was what he called it.
Oh, really?
When they were on the bus. That was on the 73 season. He said, I threw his ghetto blaster out of the window. And then, Mercury talked trash all the time. He said, you really think I'm a guy that's going to let him do that to me?
Uh-huh.
And, Kuchenberg was like, nah, he's too little to even try it. Don't even worry about it. But was Kuchenberg really a nice dude, or was he really a bully? Because I've heard stories.
Yeah. I thought I didn't never realize or felt that he was a bully or anything like that. He was he was a guy, he's been in the league. He knew the system. He knew how to, continue to be there and that sort of thing. But I never looked at him as a bully. Yeah, he was a senior, so maybe a rookie coming in and stuff. It's like rookie do this, rookie do that kind of thing. But that's kind of like that happens everywhere and stuff. But no, he was all right and stuff. But in that instance, that's what they were trying to do. They would, anyway. That just gave me more incentive to work even harder, to make sure that I did a good job, so that everybody wants to play. But Kuchenberg told me that, Dwight, I can tell you what, you coming in the league, he told me, he said, I guess he said I gave him 5 more years of football, because he felt like he couldn't have played, but playing beside me, he could play. He played for 5 more years or whatever and stuff. So anyway.
So before I turn it over and let my guys get on, we're gonna get back to the football, but it's something that I got to make sure I throw up in here so we don't forget about it. Now you have 2 things that you've done outside of football. You have the Dwight Stephenson Foundation, which you guys are known for increasing money for charities, when it comes to family, for educational purposes, health, and human services or whatnot for children and families. Mm-hmm. And it shows your philanthropy in the community. But one of the most important things to me, now I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for myself. I think one of the greatest contributions you made, and it's not even on the football field, your company built dorm rooms and buildings for Florida Memorial, a historically Black college and university down in Miami, Florida, by the way. We support HBCUs on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we talk about other schools, but HBCUs, even though I love Southern University, I support the hometown team, Morehouse, and so many others. Only team I will never wear anything of is Grambling. I will never wear anything of Grambling because I love Southern. So, I got to give a shout out to the late, great Eddie Robinson, one of the greatest to ever do it. But to hell with Grambling. That's what I say, because I love Southern. Just like you don't like Auburn. So I get it. But what was it like to be able to give back to they've been around for a while, but for you to help update their facilities from living facilities to their football stadium. Now they have a home and they're not playing on the road anymore. What was that like to be able to give young people an opportunity to see that even though you go to school here, this could be a great place for you to further your education and you can matriculate as a great person to contribute to society? What did that do for you by being able to help out, to really help out that institution, sir?
I mean, all the things you said there are things that I had dreamed about and wanted to make possible, some of those things and stuff where, I think that one of the things has been with the HBCUs and historically Black universities is just the money and the resources that it needs in order to compete. And right now they're challenged with that and stuff. And so to be able to help out in that area, I was very, very happy about that. The dormitories and stuff that we built at Florida Memorial University as well as the basketball arena and some of the other facilities that we built there and stuff. Made me very, very proud. Something that literally I'm very, very, that's one of the things that I'm most happy about. Then we done the golf tournament and stuff where the guys came out, we had the guys that I played with, Lawrence Taylor and guys from other teams and stuff. And they came down, Ricky Jackson, to play with the New Orleans Saints and San Francisco 49ers. We had a bunch of guys, and we came down and we had a golf tournament and stuff. And the funds that we raised and stuff, our foundation organized everything, but the funds that were raised, we gave to Florida Memorial University. And it's a great university. It's one of the universities that, we're the only historically Black university that's in South Florida. I think it should continue to be a great, and should continue to get even better as a school and greater as a school. We got an exciting president here now, and it's a great school, and I'm very happy to support it. And I need to get back. We need to do the golf tournament when the pandemic, not the pandemic, but the what do you call it? We had the
you mean when we had COVID to hit?
COVID. There you go.
Yes, sir.
So we cut out the golf tournament during that time and stuff. And but we need to get back and doing that. And Florida Memorial is a great cause. And just like all these universities and stuff that are doing well, tremendous. So, I mean, they get support and they get help, and people support it. And that's what we need to do too.
Yeah. Well, I got another question for you. How did it feel to win the NFL Man of the Year? I mean, we don't have too many guests on here that have done that, so I just want to say your feelings on winning that award. That's
a very good award to talk about. I can just say that MVP, offensive lineman of the year, running back, MVP of the league. That award is mentioned right in the same. In the same class with those and stuff. Being man of the year is something that I very, very happy about. It's an award that only one person gets it, and but it's what you do on the field as well as off the field. And so I'm very happy that I hit my camera there. But I'm just that's one of the awards that I've received that I'm most proud of. Is one that when you go throughout the league and different things, people recognize that and they tell you great job and whatnot. And it's just one of those awards that I think that everybody should strive to get. But I was fortunate that I was the only. I have that, and I'm very, very excited about how that award and stuff, how I was able to win that. But didn't do it by myself. I had a lot of help. I still get a lot of help with the foundation and the community work that we do.
Okay. So what about playing for those 2 back-to-back championships with Bama? I mean, how was that? I mean, that had to be a great feeling also, right?
Yeah, that really was cool and stuff. We my freshman year we came there and stuff, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. We were like, as a freshman, we lost 3 games, right? And I'm gonna tell you now. We were concerned during the season because we were like, we didn't want to come to Alabama and all of a sudden this thing started going the wrong way. And we lost 3 games, but we were all freshmen. I mean, we played on the freshman. Back then they had a freshman football team, and we played freshmen. We go and play 3 or 4 games against some smaller schools. And but we were so afraid that we would be, come to Alabama and all of a sudden things start going the wrong way. As a matter of fact, that year when we came in, it was like 28 or 29. How many scholarship players that they brought in? And they brought in 10 Black players. And that was the largest Black class that had come to the University of Alabama at one time, back then and stuff. I mean, it was kind of like they were, Ozzie Newsome, those guys, I'm sure they were like, they couldn't believe it and stuff like that. But anyway, we came in, and I tell you what, my freshman year we won 8 games, and we lost. I think that we lost to Georgia. Georgia played Pitt for the national championship, and things didn't go well. But that I mean, we lost to some good teams and stuff. Ole Miss did beat us, and then Notre Dame beat us. And then the next year we started out the first game, then we lose to Nebraska, and I'm like, oh boy. Anyway, then we went undefeated. So we lost that first game. We went undefeated there and won the bowl game. And that year they gave the national championship. I thought we were going to win the national championship that year and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we finished number 2 in the country, I think. And Notre Dame, they brought Notre Dame from number 5. They beat Texas. They beat Earl Campbell in Texas. So they gave them the national championship. They brought them from number 5 to number 1, and I think we were 2 or 3 that year and stuff. And so we really had a chance to win the national championship 3 years in a row. But anyway, the next year,
now see,
talk
that. Look, you saw how he threw that in there, K-Dub. He said, "Yeah,
I knew he was throw a little sauce on it. He threw a little sauce on it.
Hold up, but you know I still got to show that G right there because we got them before they got the championship. So I'll take that.
Yeah. You got it, Georgia. Georgia. I think we play Georgia this year. I think. I tell you what, Georgia, Alabama is a good game every time they play. It really
we
is.
coming to y'all house this year.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And unfortunately, we know we're not gonna get no calls. Don't nobody get no calls in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So it's all good.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Cam said Cam had something he wanted to ask you because I know I got something I'm gonna do for you, Mr. Stephenson, because I have something I want to show to the crowd about you because we're talking about you, but we want people to see you in your prime. So I got a little something for you.
Okay.
So go ahead, Cam.
So there was something that we spoke about earlier about how quickly you got off the ball and with your punch. Right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see how you grip the ball as a center. This is something that I'm trying to teach my kids. Were you more of a laces up guy, laces down? Were you a grab the nose? Like, what was your fundamental snap, and what allowed you to get off of it so quickly to engage with the tackles? Because I've never seen a punch off of a snap as fast as yours. As long as I watch football, it's almost as if you're teleporting the ball while punching somebody dead in the chest. I've never seen something so fast. I've seen a lot of football in my life, but I've never seen a get off ever that fast. And you're a strong guy, but I see you more as the athletic, agile kind of center that I would love to have in Atlanta. But what was your
I would pretty much grab the ball. I grab it probably not halfway, but I'd be closer to the nose, probably halfway between the nose and half of the football. I didn't want just the tip. No, I wanted. So I had the ball for sure, and it's all one motion. Some people want to snap the ball and then move. Snapping and moving at the same time. You don't wait. Some people snap and
you don't wait.
And then they go moving. No. You're snapping and moving at the same time. And they taught me that at Sylvester Croom. I remember telling me when I first got there, that's the way he worked. And try not to have the ball so right underneath your helmet. I mean, try to have it out in front of you because that guy, you want to keep him as much distance from you. And I didn't want him too close to me because I wanted to be able to come off the football. When a guy he lines up and gives me like about 2 yards, give me a running start. That's going to probably be a good day for me. When they get close as they can and that sort of thing. And the only thing about that, then, when they're giving up quickness, I'm going to be quicker than them so I can get to myself, position them. And now they got I'm having them react to me, so I get myself positioned. So I got the position. If we're going to the right, I'm gonna hit him. I don't go exactly where he's at now. I go to where I anticipate he's going to be, and I still want to have a little bit of leverage, but I want to be driving, putting pressure on him to knock him off the football. I don't believe in this stuff running sideways with people. I want to push him back, and I want to create a area so that my running back has room to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my last question for you. Since you left the game, are there any centers that you see that play kind of like you played, when you were in your heyday? So are there any guys that you feel play like you?
I can't say anyone. I don't think necessarily like running the football. We ran the football. Our objective was to knock the guy back, knock him back off the football and stuff. They don't seem to be doing that. They just kind of come off the football, get in front of the guy, and let the running back, if the guy falls or something happens, let the running back create. I like when they say, "Hey, we're going to run through this 4-hole here, and you better keep your man out of there. You knock him back or whatever you got to do." And you know what? And then sometime in the effort of doing that, the guy cuts back. I mean, because it's just a natural thing that happens. I like that, and I love that. And these days, it's kind of like they just give the ball to the running back, and I don't see anybody really coming off the football the way the John Hannahs did and the Damani Dawson and those guys did it and stuff. I just don't see a whole lot of it. I'm not saying that everybody's, doing that, but I just don't see guys knocking people off the football the way we did in our day.
Well, we got a turnstile. Well, here's the thing. Most guys now are drafted like turnstiles, and I'm gonna drop a Black History fact in here today for you because I'm the historian, so I gotta drop a
beautiful
Black History fact for everybody. It's February, so the reason that the neutral zone was created, and we have a neutral zone for a defensive lineman, he has to have space in between the ball and the center, is because of the legendary Bill Willis. He was one of the forgotten four for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And because of his cat-like quickness as a defensive tackle, that is the reason why they have a line of scrimmage. They used to call him offsides, but then when the refs would actually get in close and watch him, he was a very dominant player. And the other guy that lined up behind him was one of the legendary running backs I spoke on that I'm going to talk about next week, Mr. Marion Motley, who's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yes.
So when you look at this, the reason why Mr. Stephenson is speaking about holding that ball out is because of players like Mr. Bill Willis, who started this in the NFL because of his cat-like quickness and his dominance at the line of scrimmage. So that's just a little Black History fact that I got for you guys. I'll have the poster for Mr. Bill Willis next week. I have Marion Motley, but I'm gonna share that next week. So just a little jewel that I dropped on the crowd tonight. But I gotta say this here: fair share, fair share, fair share. So I'm actually getting ready to show you guys a little video of Mr. Stephenson, some clips of Mr. Stephenson while he was in his prime. I don't want it to get cut short, so I'm going to pause it in between, and we're going to talk a little bit about it as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have the share screen today, and we're going to talk about Mr. Dwight Stephenson because he's, like I said, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And the sad part about it is we didn't get as much as I wish we could have gotten from him because he literally had a Gale Sayers type of career. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, fair share, fair share, fair share. Facebook, fair share. Mr. Dwight Stephenson.
To me, Dwight was the best center ever.
It's fair use.
I'm sorry, fair use. I'm sorry.
He's one of those guys that if you stood in a line and you were shopping for groceries, you saw him, you go, there's no way he played. He was maybe 250 or something. But he did have exceptional quickness. What Dwight Stephenson can do was take his exceptional quickness and make phenomenal decisions in a millisecond. That's what
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. I have to pause it for a second, and I'm gonna start it right back. So the punch that Cam and Coach Cam and myself were speaking on, if you saw that when he snapped the ball against that Denver Broncos defensive lineman, was that Reuben Carter, who was the head coach at FAMU, that you hit in the mouth like that?
That might have been Reuben, but I don't know if I hit him in the mouth, man.
Yeah, Reuben Carter was a monster as a defensive lineman. But I think that might have been Coach Carter right there that you hit. But I'm going to go ahead and get this started again for you guys. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
What the game's all about. It's your ability to make a decision under pressure.
Ooh.
But the characteristic that set him apart, and it's only a few guys have it. Anthony Munoz had it. Dwight Stephenson had it. He could take what you have and use it against you. If you tried to play him a little flat-footed and read him, well, then he'd get a quick step on you. If you tried to play him with power, he'd take a step back and take all of your power and neutralize it. And if you tried to play him by being more of a finesse guy, well, then he was strong enough to be able to use a combination of what he had to beat you. He would do some things to some players that you just watch the tape and you'd feel sorry for the other guy. I'm poor Fred Smirlis up in Buffalo. And Freddie was a heck of a player. A tough, hard-nosed, Pro Bowl player. Dwight would make him look like a 5-year-old. I mean, it was embarrassing. And I'd call Fred and he'd go, I don't know what he did. He did it again. Dwight Steve.
But did you see the lane that he created, though? Did you see the lane that was created because of that?
Yes. So we're going. So like I said, we were going to show a little bit of clips or whatnot, because we didn't want it to get cut. So we wanted to show the people a little bit of your career, so they wouldn't think, oh, he's just talking. No, this man was the real deal. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love my Falcons. I love Grady Jarrett, but he would have no chance in hell against Dwight Stephenson. I don't care. Y'all can stop. Y'all can take the glasses off. I'm a realist. When I say I'm a student of the game, I love Grady, but that dude right there. Now, I'll be honest with you. I think the rules would have changed. You know, like the rules would have changed, of course, because you wouldn't have been able to hit guys up high like you were able to back then, and you guys were able to maul each other back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful rest in peace to Mr. Reggie White. But you just manhandled the greatest. I'm gonna say this here. I think Reggie White will probably be the second greatest defensive lineman. To me, Deacon Jones is the greatest defensive lineman of all time. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's Deacon Jones, Reggie White, and then everybody else falls after. Yeah. But you just manhandled him like Jesus.
Reggie White was just he was a load. I'm gonna tell you now. And when he decided to go and do something, and he said, "I'm going to the right," and he's gonna take that shoulder. I mean, he was going that way, and Reggie was. And sometimes you have to use what he's doing against him and stuff. He's just that good and stuff, and because it's just hard to stop what he's trying to do or wanting to do. So it's like, okay, and just use what he's doing against him and stuff. And he, like if he's pretty quick, he's one of those guys. Literally, some guys read, and like if you see. And so if I put my head over there, he's gonna go that way, and then I just flip my shoulder. I mean, you can control a 300-pound guy like nothing very easily that way and stuff. And then you got him, he got beat or he's embarrassed by that. Then the next play he'll try something maybe a little bit out of character or something. So those kind of mind games go on out there too and stuff. So.
Got two other questions for you because I know you're pressed for time tonight. We definitely appreciate it. Now you were speaking on Reggie. Did he ever get you with the hump move like he got everybody else with lifting those linemen up with one arm and just going to get the quarterback?
Oh,
did he ever get you with it?
I saw just the other day. I was watching highlights of some, and and it wasn't like he did some rookies like that. I mean, it's guys that's in the Hall of Fame that he did like that. Fortunately for me, I never did get caught like that, but I was very much aware of that. And he had like a left hook or whatever and stuff that was, or right hook. I mean, both ways. He'd get you going, and all of a sudden he'd get you in that rhythm, and he'd flip that shoulder on you, and he could throw a guy that's 325 or 330 pounds and just put him to the ground like he's a little kid or something. And he was a great defensive player, a great guy, and gentle giant. And I got to spend quite a bit of time with him and his wife and stuff when we were at the Hall of Fame and stuff, and over the years and stuff before he passed. God bless his soul. Good man.
So I got to give you your props before I get the last question out. while you had your reign going, you were a 5-time All-Pro, and you went to 5 Pro Bowls.
Yep.
You guys for 6 years in the NFL had the least amount of sacks.
Yep.
With that offensive line. I wish we had that in Atlanta, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the greatest things you said at your Hall of Fame speech was you're a product of helping people and you believe in sharing credit. You know, I'm saying this, and I can just speak for the BirdCage as itself. You are helping us, and we want to tell you thank you from the bottom of our hearts for you giving time out of your schedule to take time out just for us.
Yeah.
And the fans that are in here, because at the end of the day, this is an honor to have you in here. And you know, I dealt with some things, and I'm fine with it. And like I said, I throw a little motivation in here, a little religion, because I believe in the Lord. But I'll say this, you know, the toughest thing for me before I went to the military was giving up the game of football.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, and I'm trying not to get teary-eyed because it meant that much to me when I played. And Coach McGriff, you know, one of my coaches was on here. He was actually the first guest we ever had.
Okay.
And he runs a semi-pro league and does a few things. And he told me to look at your story. I knew about you, but I never really looked it up. I looked at how you went through that knee injury and getting cheap shotted, because I'm gonna say it like this, because I got cheap shotted. It's a dude named Lewis Givens. Yeah, I said it. I put your name on it, and I have no problem with putting your name on it. We friends on Facebook, but I call a spade a spade. You cheap shotted me and took out my knee back in the day, and it cost me. But God had other plans for me. And just like with you, Mr. Stephenson, you didn't know your injury was gonna be that bad. And I just saw how you lied on the ground and you said you didn't never think about that. And you found a way to get up off the turf, and you found something, and you have one of the best construction companies in this country, but especially in the Florida area.
Mm-hmm.
And you were able to move on. And I want to tell you, looking at your story has inspired me to continue to move on. And it's tough some days. I'm not gonna lie. I missed the game. I'm 37 now, so you know I'm no spring chicken no more. But I miss the opportunity of being able to do it. But at the end of the day, you know, I was blessed to be able to play it at a semi-pro level before I had to go to the service, and understand, looking at, it's not the end of the world. God took that away from you because that wasn't your lane. And you've done even better outside of the game of football. So you've been a motivation to me since I was 23 years old and I had to give up the game before I went to the service. And it's days that I cried on the ship. It's days I shed tears now when I do this, and I look at it because the game was in me. Like, I love this game. I would give up everything I have right now to go back. Just one play. I go back. I give up everything I got. This podcast, everything. But I know God has bigger purposes for myself. And looking at how you flourished, thank you for being an example and not knowing that you influenced a young man like myself from back in the day. You were a godsend and a blessing. And I want to tell you thank you. And everybody that's in here, no matter what goes on, I'm not in a perfect place right now. I'm just like you. I work, get my paychecks, and I'm trying to make something happen with this podcast and just making a better life. God does things in life to make a point for you to focus on his will. So until you focus on his will, you're never going to prosper and you're never going to flourish. So I don't know if anybody's religious in here. If I'm offending you, I apologize, but I'm not going to dim my light talking about the Lord and the opportunities that the Lord has presented. And this is one of the greatest opportunities that he's put in my life, to talk to a man that inspired me outside of my hero, Walter Payton. Your story could help me from committing suicide. Most people don't know that. I almost jumped overboard one night on the ship. My coach called me and told me to look, and I found your story on YouTube. And, you know, it was a few times I wanted to take my life, but I didn't do it. So for those that are out here that's struggling with suicide and so many other things, it's okay. Go get help. Talk to people, because you don't know what somebody went through. This man was one of the best to ever do it, and he lost it just like that. And he found a way to get to the next level and succeed in life. So until you figure out what your purpose is, continue to grind, continue to lean on the Lord, and just look at others around you that might have been in worse situations or been on top of the world and found a way to move up. So I'm sorry I've rambled or whatnot, but I wanted to tell you thank you, Mr. Stephenson. You don't know me like that, but I want to tell you thank you because your story it saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm holding in because I'm tough, man. I ain't gonna let that get to me, but it saved my life. So thank you so much.
I thank you for taking that time to to explain to us and tell us about your story. And I just thank God that you're doing well, and I hope that what you just said there does inspire some other people to say, hey, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I can make it. You'll work it out just like you did and stuff. And so you're an inspiration to me. You're an inspiration to a lot of people. And I'm telling you now, what you're doing now is outstanding. And I'm glad to be a part of the program tonight. Again, it seems like you surrounded yourself with some good people, and that's important there.
These gentlemen on this panel right here,
yeah,
have talked to me many nights because I'm one of the ones who deal with a lot. I go to the I'm a disabled vet. I talk and I have therapy sessions I go through. So if anybody's dealing with mental health, it's okay.
Yeah.
You got to find a way. So all my BirdCage family that's in the cage, that's not on the screen right now, that we do stuff behind the scenes, they've been another extended family to me, just like I've been to them. And we all try to lean on each other through real rough times. And, just having you on this show and just your story is one of the best ever. You played in 2 Super Bowls, you played in 2 national championships and got rings. And you really have been an inspiration to many because you got knocked down and you got up. And now you have one of the best companies in this country right now. And you've been doing so much in that South Florida community, not only business wise, but also helping out families and kids and so many things. So you definitely are very appreciated here on this segment here in the BirdCage. So we definitely thank you for being here for us tonight and actually talking football and also talking a little bit of life for us tonight. We definitely appreciate that, Mr. Stephenson.
All right. Thank you guys. I mean, you guys are a good team, good group there and stuff. Again, it's an honor. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to coming back again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have you back in the cage.
Okay.
And what we'll do, like I said, after the broadcast, I'll hit you up, Mr. Stephenson. So thank you again for coming through the cage tonight for us. Mr. Dwight Stephenson, NFL Hall of Famer. Thank you.
All the best, guys. Thanks a lot.
Great interview.
So I want to tell y'all thank you. I know I always talked about different things. I don't say it all the time, but I want to thank you guys in that sense because that was something I don't talk about much. But my old coach pretty much put his story in my life. So I got to see what his story was when I was in the service. And that was why I didn't quit. I was like, all right, this dude has millions of dollars with his company. He just built it once he was done. He was already into it, but when he built it, it was like, Jesus, it's always another way. And it's always another thing that you can do in this life that you have a calling for. You just don't know. Like right now, I'm still trying to figure out my purpose. But while I'm figuring out my purpose, I'm damn sure going to enjoy hanging with y'all doing these interviews and, hey man, waiting for these Falcons to win a Super Bowl. We got Mr. Stephenson out the building or whatnot, and we definitely appreciate it. But this is a Falcon show, ladies and gentlemen. But we also have to bring in great athletes and great talent from back in the day, and we pay homage. We're working on trying to get some younger players in here too, but we're always going to try to bring in great guests and great athletes. We have a ton of people that are going to be coming in here during this off season. So y'all got to stay tuned because we got some stuff coming for you. Just be patient with us, man. We crawling before we walk, like my man K-Dub always says.
Crawl before you walk.
I'm giving you your credit, baby.
You know what
Hey
time
man,
it is.
so I want to thank y'all for coming in here. We got a special interview next week. Normally we talk Falcon football, but we got to cap off Black History Month the right way. Next week, we have Eddie Makashan coming into the Birdcage. If you don't know who he is, look up his story. He was the first Black quarterback to play at a major institution in the Southeast. So before any Black quarterbacks played in any schools from North Carolina, Florida State, whatever, he was the first to do it, and he did it at Georgia Tech. Unfortunately, he's a yellow jacket, but it's okay because guess what? Somebody had to walk point and take those bullets. So my thing is the way we're gonna end Black History Month, we're gonna bring a trailblazing pioneer in here for you guys to hear his story. So if you don't know much about his story, he was one of the best. And one of his rivals, Mr. Condridge Holloway, Tennessee Volunteer, they were the first two Black quarterbacks to duel on a major network on ABC in the South. Georgia Tech played Tennessee, and unfortunately, Tennessee took that game, but it was a hell of a game showcasing that you had two Black quarterbacks in a position of intelligence to show how great their talent was. So without further ado, I'm going to bid you guys good night. I want to thank y'all for coming in here with me tonight and just listening to me ramble about my story and trying not to cry on camera because that was real sentimental to me, and you guys have been there for me through a lot. So I appreciate you and everybody else that's behind closed doors, Scoop, Graybeard, Melton, Coach Brandt, Turbo. It's just one of those things, man. So I appreciate everything y'all have done. And man, we getting this thing right because we damn sure ain't getting left, baby. So see y'all next Thursday. You already know what it is. Or if we get some good news and pick up a quarterback before then, we might be on for that. So hey, we love you, and we'll see you guys next week. We out. Ghost.